Otieno Kajwang was a well-known ally to CORD leader Raila Amolo Odinga. He was bold and firm to his words when it came to political matters. Unfortunately, Otieno Kajwang died on the 19th of November 2014 at Mater Hospital due to cardiac arrest. After his death, leaders allied to Raila Odinga are still raising questions on his death.
And in our last rally, niliwaambia ya kwamba wana CORD wale ambao wako katika mstari ya mbele, their lives are in danger. And I stated that we have received death threats. Kajwang was in that list. Death is death. We did not state how that death was going to come, but Kajwang is gone. We are still mourning, and we have not been told what killed Mutula Kilonzo. Now today we are here again, a mysterious death that comes suddenly, unexplained, and Kajwang is gone. How many more? How many more? This Mr. Death, how many more do you want to take before you are satisfied?
Despite the establishment of a commission of inquiry to investigate the helicopter crash in which former Internal Security Minister Professor George Saitoti and his assistant Ora Ojode perished, the perception that the crash was a well-organized political assassination has persisted. In the Kenyan parliament, MPs have openly alleged that the Kibaki government is trying to cover up the alleged assassinations by frustrating the new commission of inquiry set up to investigate the tragic accident which happened on June 10, 2012. Is there any real or circumstantial evidence which could point to a political assassination, especially of Professor George Saitoti, a former presidential candidate in the coming elections? An interesting piece of information which also have to be investigated is the news that the last person to have used the helicopter was Police Commissioner Matthew Itere. According to these results, the chopper landed at Wilson Airport on Saturday, the 9th of June at 6 p.m. with Itere on board, all the way from Mombasa. Kilonzo died at his farm bordering Manzoni Lodge on Mombasa Road, Machakos County on 27 April 2013. Mtula's body was found tucked in bed with foam in the mouth. There were also indications that the lawyer had vomited the samples and they were collected for analysis. Besides the pathologist, detectives have engaged experts at the government chemist to examine the pills and other samples found on the premises. Investigations into Senator Mutula Kilonzo's death have ruled out a heart attack and have narrowed down to a likelihood of poisoning. Massive internal bleeding and a finding that all his internal organs were intact was a pointer to the presence of a toxin. An examination of the body had revealed that both the arteries and the heart had not been ruptured, as is normally the case when one suffers a heart attack. Father Kaisa was shot in the back of the head with a shotgun, which was found nearby. His body was found at 6 a.m. the next day beneath 2 acacia trees by a butcher at Morendat Junction on the Nakuru-Naivasha Road in Western Kenya. He was carrying documents he intended to present to the Akumi Commission. He was also to testify against the Moi government before the International Criminal Court in Hague in 3 weeks' time. The first police officers on the scene thought he had been murdered. Father Kaisa knew of the dangers of speaking out in Kenya. In a book about his experiences at the Maila camp, he wrote a warning. I want all to know that if I disappear from the scene, because the bush is vast and the hyenas many, that I am not planning any accident, nor, God forbid, any self-destruction. Instead, I trust in a good guardian angel and in the action of grace. In the few years before his death, he'd become the key or the voice of the people, unafraid to speak out against the corruption that permitted the Kenyan government.
Wakuta magari karibu 3 hivi. Moja ilikuwa imeingia kwa mtaro na double cab ya white. Tukadhania ni accident imetendeka. Tukajaribu kusimama na hii lori yetu ya posta. Kumbe moja ile walikuwa wamesimama ilikuwa ya polisi. Wakatuambia msisimame, endeni haraka. Tukaokopa tukatoka mara moja tukaingia kwa barabara. Hata wakatuonyesha gari nyingine ilikuwa imepigwa risasi. Tukaokopa na tukaendelea na tukaenda na safari. Nyuma ndio tukasikia kwamba kumbe ilikuwa ni ya Fata Kaisa. Ndio alikuwa amepigwa risasi hapo.
After meeting with then the president, Daniel Arap Moi, Oko traveled to his country residence, a farm in Koru near Kisumu, accompanied by his driver and bodyguard. On the night of the 12th of February 1990, Oko disappeared from his Koru farm complex near Muhoroni. His housemaid Selina Werendalo testified that she was awakened at 3 a.m. by a noise similar to a door being slammed shut. Then she saw a white car standing at the bottom of the minister's driveway before driving away. Oko's body was found later that morning, the 13th of February, at approximately 1 p.m. by a local herdsboy. They did not report the fact to the police. Oko's body was eventually officially discovered on the 16th of February following a police search. Okondo had warned Muge not to step into Busia or he would see fire and maybe not live alive. As Okondo issued the warning, Muge said, "Let Okondo know that my innocent blood will haunt him forever and he will not be at peace, for God does not approve of murder." The day before he died, the bishop said his life was in danger. He went to Busia and continued to hold an open-air church service and left for Eldoret later that afternoon. On the way back, however, his car collided with a milk truck and he was killed instantly. Muge was said to have cried out before he died, according to a report commissioned by the synod of his Eldoret diocese. The report was based on witness accounts. The bishop may have meant that the plot to kill him had finally been executed. A court case could not prove who killed Muge. The driver of the truck was tried for dangerous driving and sentenced to 7 years in jail. Although his defense argued that the trial was politically motivated, no politician was called to give evidence, as noted by trial magistrate Roslyn Walekwa. So, who killed Muge? Was he assassinated or was it an unfortunate accident? It remains one of the country's confiding mysteries. J.M. Kariuki was a Kenyan politician during the administration of the Jomo Kenyatta government. He held different government positions from 1963, when Kenya became an independent country, to 1975, when he was assassinated. He was popularly known as JM. He was shot in the arm by then the head of the JSU, Ben Gevi, during a bitter exchange with one of his captors, President Kenyatta's personal bodyguard. Then he was dragged out and driven to Ngong Forest, where his body was found by a herdsman. Who fired the shots that killed J.M. Kariuki? It was a quiet Saturday afternoon in Nairobi, and Tom Mboya, Kenya's Minister of Economic Planning and Development, was doing a little shopping downtown. He stepped into a pharmacy to buy a bottle of lotion. As he emerged, an assassin opened fire Escaping in the ensuing confusion, Mboya was struck in the chest, blood soaking his suede jacket, and died in an ambulance on the way to Nairobi Hospital. The last witness in the case was named Sydney Cecil Glimley, a ballistics expert attached to the Ugandan police, who said the 2 bullets that had been found in Mboya's body were fired from a revolver found in Njoroge's home. Piogama Pinto was a Kenyan journalist, politician, and freedom fighter. He was also a leader who dedicated his life to the liberation of the Kenyan people and became independent Kenya's first martyr in 1965. On February 25, 1965, Pinto was shot at very close range on the driver while waiting for the gate to open. He was with his daughter in his car at the time of the killing. High-profile deaths remain unexplained, and the real hands behind the deaths still remain hidden. Kenyans are wondering whether there are selective groups who decide to play God. Will these mysteries ever be solved? Michelle Njoroge, Youth TV.